My name's Isaac. I'm here with Snowball Esports at the OPL studio for Super Week. Here with Praedyth after his pretty big game. Legacy took out the Direwolves in the first of two of the organisation's games this evening. How are you feeling after that win?
Definitely glad I got to bring out my Lucian and actually perform on it, because every time I picked Lucian beforehand, we'd won with it, but I think I got carried pretty hard in the games we'd won, and I also lost in it, and I got like 6 deaths. So I'm glad I only have 1 death. I was hoping for 0, but props to Direwolves, they called me out of position once, so props to them. But yeah, feels really good to bring out Lucian.
And you obviously have one more game to play this evening, but the split's kind of wrapping up for you guys now. Looking back a little bit over the past 10 weeks, how do you feel the season's gone overall?
I think a big thing that Legacy has been saying, and a lot of other teams as well, is translating Scrim performance to stage. I think what you have to understand, like everyone has to understand, is that every team has to go through that. So teams like Bombers, teams like Chiefs, these teams, they're doing really well, and they can really deal with like the on-stage pressure. But that's like a skill in itself, you know. So it's not an excuse to say like, oh, like Scrim performance to stage performance is just like we really struggle with that. Like it's not an actual excuse because it is a skill. But I think we've worked on it basically more than a lot of other things. So coming into next split, I think we're going to be playing a lot more loose, and we should be getting at least top 5 out of the regular split season.
Do you feel like that scrim performance to stage performance is just something that kind of has eluded you guys a little bit because you are one of those young teams that, at the start of the split, there was the conversation about the fact that you guys are developing. It wasn't a roster for split 1. It was kind of just leading into bigger and better things. And you're kind of saying now you feel like you've kind of hit that point and you can start kind of moving forward in split 2. Is that kind of the feeling in the camp?
Yeah, for sure. I think we, as a team, in theory, we should struggle from it less than the other teams. You look at a team like Order, who are heralded as like a super team. They're basically, it's not even in their fate to make playoffs anymore, you know? Like they're the ones that should be feeling the pressure from the start because they're held as a super team. We're a team where, like, I'm pretty sure, to quote Spawn, he said, we are the worst team on paper to ever play in OPL. So in the case, we should be going 0-23, and that should be everyone's expectation, or 0-21, whatever it is. That should be everyone's expectation. So like we should have no pressure in that case. But for some reason, we just play differently on stage. Order for a team, probably maybe they have the same issues with us where they struggle with the pressure on stage as well. Because I rate their ADC quite highly in scrims, but then when it comes to stage, it looks like he struggles a lot. So yeah, I think some teams really struggle with it, but some teams don't. I think it's just a skill or like a mental state that you have to work towards as a team, and it's just what Bombers and Chiefs are really good at. Props to them.
It sounds like comments like that Spawn made at the start of the season or throughout about Legacy have kind of echoed with you and potentially the rest of the squad. Has that been something that you guys have been looking to potentially build towards proving people wrong in terms of how they think about the squad? And you've picked up a bunch of wins, and I think there was potential for you to have the highest win count of a 7th place team in the OPL. Has all that kind of led from the fact that people had a lot of doubts about the roster and the direction and everything like that, and did you want to prove them wrong?
I can't say I really care about what they say. Like, obviously it's his job to like say things like outlandish comments. Like, of course it's probably for a team like, I don't see how you look at a team like us. Actually I do, because it's like double off roll and like a bunch of like sort of outcasts, so I sort of see how you can make that statement. And I really like admire him for doing it, because I think a lot of people, like a lot of like analysts, are just boring and they just say the same shit. Sorry if I can't swear, but yeah, they just say the same stuff. But yeah, props to him for saying that. But I didn't really care. I think we just memed about it a lot, of course, because like, what else are you gonna say? And like, we all knew that we were better than like Direwolves. Like we were at least gonna get like 4 or 5 wins to split. It's mainly just looking to split 2, which I sort of hate in itself because I really want to win now, but the ultimate goal is split 2, and that's how it turned out anyways.
I guess going back through that comment a little bit, you brought up the fact that some of the players in the roster are off-role players. Obviously, you've made the move down to the bot lane. That we just had that game just then where, you know, you've had a dominant showing, you've pulled out the marksman, and, you know, you've kind of run over the game. On a personal level, how are you feeling about the fact that there was this swap down to the bot lane, and you know, there was that kind of added pressure of deciding to move from one role that people knew you in and then going to a new one?
Yeah, as I said before, I wouldn't have moved into the role if I didn't think I would be ready for it, like by week 1. So I think I was always ready for it. But I forget the question. This happens.
Oh no, just you know, how are you feeling about the move to the bot lane now?
Yeah, and as I said before as well, like I don't think any of these players are better than me. Like I have a lot of respect for FBI and Raze. I think they're definitely a level above me, but the rest are really inconsistent. And I think in a lot of cases I am better than them, and I knew before the split that I would be better than all these players because, yeah, I think I'm pretty good myself. So let's end it like that.
No, it's pretty good to have the confidence, and I guess the question then is, you know, you guys have had this split now to get the experience on stage, to have the scrim results and potentially practice turning them into results on stage. You said that, you know, you're aiming for top 4 next split. Do you have a definitive idea of where you want to fall, you know, when the second split kind of ends?
Yeah, just make playoffs. I mean, Gauntlet. I've never actually made Gauntlet since being in OPL, so I'll just be super happy making Gauntlet, get the best of 5 experience. I've only had best of 5 experience in relegations, so I mean Gauntlet's going to be a whole lot different. It's going to be a wild ride, but I'll be next split.
Probably a little nicer to have the best of 5s when it's, you know, playing towards the grand final or something, rather than, you know, keeping your life in the OPL. I guess just finally, do you have any messages for Legacy Esports fans who have been, you know, following you guys throughout the split, have stuck with you after these roster changes and everything like that, and are now potentially looking towards, you know, an even better performance in the second split?
Yeah, whenever I see any comments on social media, like praising me, like anyone likes my statuses, like all the things that the fans do, like I appreciate it so much. Like it means a lot that someone supports us and Legacy. Because like even in like a roster split, obviously they've made Gauntlet every season. They've always been a really good team, so it just means a lot that people would support us still with this like wild roster. So yeah.
Seems like it's going to go well. Look, cheers for the chat, Matt. Have a good one.
Thank you.